Hi, it's TJ and Wendy Zito with Rhythm and Motion Dance, home of the Vulcan Performers professional dance organization in Birmingham, Alabama, www.bhamdance.com. Doing Move of the Week, part 2 of our series that we're doing on turn technique and spins. Last week we did some closed chenets and open chenets. What we're going to do this week is talk a little bit about pivot turns. Okay, so the big thing about pivot turns is making sure we're going to keep the thighs together. Pivot turns are designed to travel, so we're going to be progressing down the floor. So we're going to start this with a heel lead. So if we're going to be stepping with our right foot, we're going to heel lead and progress forward. We're going to keep our thighs together. We're not going to have a lot of distance between our feet, and we're going to keep our nose, belly button, and toes over the front. So as we rotate, and we face half direction, we're still slightly onto the front. So as we rotated here, we did not land backwards, right? We rotated and we kept our weight forward because we're going to progress onto the foot. And then what we're going to do is turn 180 degrees again and progress onto the foot. So the idea is that we turn, progress, turn, progress. So once again, it's progress forward, we're going to rotate, then we are going to progress, we're going to rotate, and we're going to progress. What we're not going to do on a pivot, probably one of the most common things that happen is people learn to do pivots and their legs are spaced real far apart.
You might
so
want to
they're
sideways so they can see.
yeah, let me do that. So if their legs are spaced real far apart, it starts looking kind of like that, right? That's off balance.
Frankenstein.
It's kind of Frankenstein looking, or they're real straight legged. So they heel lead, they're real straight legged, and it's kind of off balance right there. So that kind of happens. So make sure that we're going to ballerina. Make sure the legs are kind of relaxed. We're not in plie, we're not in releve, we're not locked out, we're just relaxed, kind of chill is what I like to call it. So we progress, we come around 180 degrees, we progress, we come around 180 degrees. So what I like to think about is that as I'm stepping this, it's not a severe turnout. The knee can really only go one direction. You know, it can go forward and back, that's it. Knees can't really go sideways. So if we have a severe turnout on this, number one, we're not hitting a heel lead. Number two, we're progressing our body against the bend of our knee. So we want to make sure that if we're heel leading on this, that we're progressing forward, rotate, progress forward. Okay? So
sideways too, so
yeah.
can see
So sideways, if you want to see this, progress, rotate, progress, and of course you could do this right foot, left foot, either style. We're going to use these more like in our smooth dances, more like our waltz and our foxtrot and such. If you're in country western, you know, your two-step, triple two-step, you're going to use more pivot turns. Things are going to travel down the floor. Not saying that we couldn't use this on other forms of dance. Not saying we couldn't travel in a West Coast swing and use a pivot style turn. You can. I'm just saying that it's more prevalent. Yeah, but it's more prevalent, especially with the heel lead. It's going to be more prevalent in our smooth style dances. So the other problem I think that I see when people are learning to pivot is they can confuse a pivot and a spiral. In a pivot, we make sure that our legs do not move, so we actually rotate the entire person. So what I like to talk about when I was first learning, people laugh at me when I use this analogy, but a phone booth. I used to think about being in a phone booth, rotating the entire phone booth around. Well, the problem with that analogy is, where is there a phone booth? The young people, when we talk about this now, they're like, what's a phone booth? So, you know, I like to think, you know, anything that keeps your body still.
A test tube.
A test tube. One of my science people that we talk to always think about, yeah, like if I'm in a test tube and it's rotating. So your body is staying still, right? So we're not torquing anything, doing anything funky here. We're moving the entire body around. I think one of the biggest habits that we see is people send their leg through first and then try to pivot. So when we're talking pivot, we're not talking jazz, right? We're not talking old school jazz, line dance style, if you will. You know, we're not talking that kind of pivot. You know, Wendy likes to chug it out. Go ahead and get like a little chug pivot, right? So we're not talking about those kind of pivots. We're talking about progressive pivots. So what happens when you do move the leg forward, what you're really creating is a spiral. A spiral is a different kind of turn. We use spirals for actions that we want to, say we're going really fast and we want to stop real sudden. Right? So say we're doing something like a chenet and we want to stop and then progress, we can use a spiral for that. So once again on the spirals, all I'm doing is stepping the leg forward and continuing the rotation, keeping the feet where they are, and then progressing forward. So that's one of the things that people accidentally do when they're learning pivots. So instead of keeping the body and keeping the legs together and keeping the thighs together, sometimes they step the leg and then rotate the body. That's another kind of turn. That's a spiral.
There's nothing wrong with the spiral.
Yeah, where are spirals useful? Maybe there's something I want her to spiral so we can syncopate and now we're on the same foot and we're in shadow position. That would be a good place to use a spiral. You know, if you're a old school CW country western guy still hanging out there, shoulder rolls, a lot of times I'll leave a spiral, get a little bit extra zip on it, right, and gives it a kind of a cool look. Because if you're kind of barreling down the floor, doing shoulder roll, shoulder roll, shoulder roll, some of those really sharp come out, hit that spiral and move into another thing.
They can work a West Coast swing.
Yeah, work a West Coast swing. You can use spirals, hustle. You're going to use them in different places. So that'll be, so that's some different things to think about. One last tip on the pivots. I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but one last tip on the pivots. This is old school drill. Old school drill. You're going to see how old. What we used to do back in the day was take a cassette tape. Yes, I said it. Cassette tape. Take a cassette tape, put it between your legs. That's right. Hold the cassette tape between your legs and rotate and rotate.
I got it.
What?
Use your iPod.
Use your iPod. Perfect. That's right. It's about the same. That's right. So if you got an iPod Classic, right, a good 80 gig, stick it right there between your thighs. Squeeze with your thighs. That way you learn to keep your thighs together on your turns. So like I said, back in the old school days, we used to do cassette tapes. I guess iPod with the kids today. But, you know, so that'll give you some things. So if you want to take a look back at last week where we did Sinead's, and we covered pivots today, we covered spirals. I hope this helps you out with your turn technique. Once again, it's TJ and Wendy Zito, Rhythm and Motion Dance, www.bhamdance.com, home of the Vulcan Performers, professional dance organization, Birmingham, Alabama. Make sure to check out our other moves of the week, check out our blogs and other stuff
I'm a
on our
bad
website.
blogger. Don't check mine right
Yeah,
now.
don't check her. She hasn't updated her blog, but we do appreciate it. Thank you very much.